My father was in the class of 30 at Texas A&M. And by late 1942, he was a captain on the staff of George Patton as they were planning the invasion of North Africa. I was born in Corsicana, Texas in April of '42, less than 5 months after the United States entered World War II. After the war, my father stayed in Europe, and my mother, sister, and I were on the first shipload of dependents to arrive in Europe in April of '46. He was very proud that I went there, and then every time I got an award, he would show up. And my senior year, he was like the Inspector General of 4th Army. And so the Commandant's office didn't want to see him coming around. The first day, I was scared to death, and we were doing everything wrong, and you couldn't learn campusology fast enough. Looking back, Texas A&M, for me and for many others, was a gigantic leadership lab.
Paul Dresser Jr., class of 1964, was a member of Company E2, a Ross volunteer, and the 1963-64 Corps Commander. Dresser graduated from Texas A&M with a degree in history and government, was a distinguished military graduate, and commissioned as a second lieutenant in the United States Army. Dresser attended airborne, ranger, and special forces training and later commanded a special forces camp in Vietnam. Following his service in Vietnam, Dresser was appointed by the President to the White House as Army Aide to the President. Following his service in the Army, he earned an MBA from Harvard and went to work in the private sector.
I received a call from the White House asking if I would be willing to come and be an aide to the President, military aide to the President. And I said, I have just taken on a job with Lieutenant General, and he said, we can take care of that. And so I very happily went to Washington, was an aide to the President for probably a year and a half. Administrative duties, there were one Air Force, one Navy, one Marine, and I was a second Army officer. One of us had to accompany the President on every trip and be with him on every ceremony. One of the duties that we never carried out, thank goodness, was we carried the briefcase containing the nuclear codes called the football. And so I took that responsibility very seriously, and once a month we would go over for a briefing at the Pentagon about what was in that briefcase, when if we ever had to explain options to the President. And it was an awesome responsibility. Aggie core values have been so important to me throughout my military and my business career, as well as my work with various community organizations and my personal relationships as well. Nothing comes as close to being so important to me as my honor, my word, my credibility, and my trust.
Ladies and gentlemen, inducted into the Corps of Cadets Hall of Honor, Paul A. Dresser Jr., class of 1964.